Hello Orchid Maniacs, this is Yeva again, and since my Miltoniopsis bloomed, I thought I'm gonna make a video about how do I water my Miltoniopsis. I know that some of you have asked me to do this video, so that's how I do it. Now, for those of you who don't know, I always use sphagnum moss on top of the media in my Miltoniopsis because I grow them indoors for the winter and the humidity level indoors is quite low. Even though I do have a humidifier, it's still not enough. So that's how I water them. I usually check if the moss is dry or wet. If it is dry, that means it's time to water, and I always water. Let me just show you. Since the moss is dry, I pour some water on top. I never bring any of my plants to the sink. I just water them wherever they stand. So just pour some water on top. Make sure the moss gets wet, and also make sure some water collects in the tray below. Now, the normal orchid pots usually have some ridge at the bottom, so that the bottom of the media doesn't really reach the water. So I usually just add some more and check a few hours later if the level of the water in the tray gets lower. That means I will have to add a little bit more. That's how I water all my Miltoniopsis in winter, and I just wait a few days. If there is still some water in the tray, I will wait a little bit more, but I will always check the moss on top. So even though I do let them stand in the water for a while, I would still consider that I grow them quite dry, because I do let the media dry out, and I don't really wet it completely like you would if you would have to take them to the sink and let the water run through. When you take the pot to the sink and you let the water to run through the media, you would make the media wet, and since I don't do that, I only just run a little bit of water through the pot, so the media doesn't really get a chance to get all that wet. So basically I keep my Miltoniopsis quite dry, even though they do stand in the water and they do absorb some of the water back into the media, but they do dry out quite thoroughly actually. And in summer I care for them quite differently, and I'm gonna talk about it in summer. It's not the right time to do that now. And I would also let the moss on top to get dry before watering again, so because I don't want the new growth to rot. And as you all know, that too much moisture next to the pseudobulbs is not really a good thing, so I always let the media let the moss on top to dry out, and as you can see, it's not compacted at all, so it's quite airy. And by the way, this orchid smells exactly like mangosteens. If you've ever tried this fruit before, you will know what I'm talking about. It's a very distinct smell. And the fragrance is so strong it completely overpowers my long-suffering Nelly, which is in bloom as well. You all know what Nelly Eiler smells like. It's a citrusy kind of fake fragrance, but the Miltoniopsis that I've just showed you is much stronger. Of course it can be because my Nelly is not very Okay. And while we're on the subject, I'm just gonna show you the other one, which is also in bloom. It doesn't look very good, and the fragrance is much milder than the first one, but those blooms aren't fresh anymore. They've been open for quite a few weeks now, and some of the blooms blasted, so basically what I do is just I check the surface of the media. If it's wet, I don't need to water it. If it's dry, I see if there is some water in the tray. If there is still some water, I might wait a day or two. If there is only a little bit water, I will still water it. And I will water like I just showed you from the top, and let the water run through. And in my conditions, which is, it's about 22 degrees in here in this room, and the humidity is about 40%. And in these conditions I have to water about twice a week normally. And in spring, when it gets quite warm in here, so I have to make sure I check it out more often, because sometimes it dries out very fast. So yeah, that's it for today. I just want to make a disclaimer here. That's how I care for my Miltoniopsis, and I would not recommend anyone doing that, because it works for me, but it doesn't mean that it has to work for you as well. So I've been doing this I've cared for my Miltoniopsis like that for at least 3 years now, and they're not doing excellent, but well, at least they're alive, so that's it for today. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye.